Hi, I'm April Klinkevich with Bliss Evolution, and I want to thank you for being here. It's my goal with Bliss Evolution to help people determine how to create more meaning through their work and to live happier and more fulfilled lives. So I'm happy you found your way here. I'm going to walk you through today an instructional video to help you determine, should I stay or should I go? Is your work meeting your needs or is it not? And then what do you need to do about it? So maybe you feel stuck in your job. Maybe you used to love your job, but you don't love it so much anymore. Sometimes somebody changes jobs, like we have a friend who's a coworker or a supervisor that we really got along with, and then that person leaves and all of a sudden the whole culture of the environment changes for us. Sometimes we thought that the job would be different. So we took a job, we thought it was going to be a little bit different than it is, and now that we're there, we're unhappy, we're unfulfilled, it's really not fitting our needs. So there's this idea that we hear the grass is always greener, and something that I've recently heard is kind of a follow-up to the saying, if you notice the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, start watering the grass that you're standing on. So this exercise is going to help us determine, do we need to just start watering the grass we're standing on with a few tweaks? Will this be a great position for us? Or is the grass really greener on the other side of the fence and it's time to cut our losses and move on? There are lots of outside forces that we hear that can confuse us as we're trying to make a decision. Maybe we're hearing conflicting things from people that love us. So as an example, maybe our parents are telling us, why would you leave a stable job? Why would you leave a stable paycheck? You should just be happy with the work that you have and the job that you have. While at the same time, a spouse is telling us, I know you can do more with your career and with your work. Why don't you look for a job that fulfills you more? Or why don't you look for a job where you can make more money? So we're hearing conflicting things from people that love us. Other things that we might be hearing is, and this advice could be coming from anywhere. Some of these are just adages, other things are things that we see on the internet. So, this idea of follow your passion. Well, great, I want to follow my passion, but how do I do that? What's the structure for following my passion? Or something else that we hear a lot of times is find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Well, who knows what that's going to be like? I think, may love our jobs or may like our jobs very much, and I think it's important to have jobs that we find that we love or that we like. But I think work at the end of the day is still work, and we may be working very hard for something that we love, which makes it a lot easier, but it's still work. So sometimes we hear these things, we're not sure what to make of them. So I want to ease your fears. I want to work with you and walk with you on an exercise that's going to help you determine, should you stay or should you go? There's 3 parts to this exercise. The first is assessing values and needs. So we're going to look at your values and we're going to look at your needs. Just stand alone. We're not going to compare them to anything right up front. We're just going to look at them and find out what they are. Part B of the exercise is to determine whether your needs are being met by this particular current work situation. So I'll walk you through some questions related to that. And part C of this exercise is brainstorming solutions. So figuring out what to do now that we have this information. So why don't we go ahead and get started? We're going to make your decision-making process a whole lot easier. So I want you to go ahead and print out the form on my website. There's a link that you can click on right here on the video, and I want you to print out the form so that you can follow along and fill in the form as we go along and as I'm asking you questions. If you need to stop the video and take a little bit of time for self-reflection or to write things down, that's perfect. Go ahead, stop the video. I'll be right here waiting for you once you press play, and we'll pick up again right there. So let's start with assessing values and needs. In order to determine if something fits, we need to have a really good grasp of who we are first. So on the page that you printed out, on one side, you're going to see brainstorm values. And I want you to take a few minutes right now and just write down as many values as you can think of. They could be work-related values or non-work-related values. So your values might include authenticity, family, prestige, salary. You might list a number of values that are related or not related to work. I want you to go ahead and just take a few moments now and brainstorm values. If you'd like to pause the video now, go ahead and pause it. You can meet me back here when you're done. Once you're done brainstorming values, I want you to determine which of these values belong in your top 5. Which of these are your top 5 values? Go ahead and circle them. Circle your top 5 values and then turn the page over. You're going to see 5 blank lines across the top of the page. I want you to go ahead and fill in 1 value per spot. Now, we're not ranking the values or anything like that, so I don't want you to worry about the order. I just want you to go ahead and fill in 1 value per spot. Once you've done that, we're going to move on to the first question there. So the first question, and I have a spot for you under each value to write an answer to this question, is based on these values, write down your needs. So if you know that I'm going to be using 2 examples for values, I want you to go ahead and use all 5, but I'll be walking you through 2 examples as we go, just to give you an idea of what this might look like. So the 2 values that I'm going to be using are integrity and creativity. So if I know my values are integrity and creativity, then under that integrity value, to answer the first question, what are my needs, then I would say I need to work with a team of people who are honest and trustworthy with coworkers and customers. So that's going to go right next to that. I need to ... I'm going to go ahead and write that phrase. For creativity, under that value, it's going to say I need to ... and I'm going to write I need to express myself creatively through my work. So go ahead, take a few moments now and write down your needs as they relate to your values. When you're done with that, we'll move on to the next question. The second question I have under here is to write down how your values and needs relate to your work and your ability to thrive at work. So I don't necessarily want you to apply your values and needs to your current work situation. Instead, I want you to think of your values and needs broadly and how they relate to work in general. So here's what I mean by that. What I would be putting for question number 2 under integrity under part A is when I'm in an environment that values honesty and integrity, I feel like my work is more meaningful and I'm happier to go to work. What I would put under creativity is when I'm able to use my creativity at work, the need to express myself is met and I feel more fulfilled at the end of each day. So that's it for part 1. Take a few minutes, think about your values, think about your needs, think about how those needs relate to work for you in general. And when you're ready, we'll move on to part B of this exercise. So part B is determining whether your needs are being met by this particular work situation. So what I want you to do first is just answer the question, are my needs being met? So is this occupation meeting my core needs? Just circle yes or no under each value. For most of the values, it's going to be a clear yes or no. For some of them, it might be murky. It might somewhat meet this value, but not fully. So in that case, you can circle both of them. So go ahead, circle yes or no for each one. And then the first question in this section is, for those where you've circled yes, for those where your needs are being met, I want you to write down in what way is this occupation meeting my needs. So go ahead and jot down on the page, in what way is this occupation meeting my needs? So going back to our example, under integrity, if the need of integrity is being met, then I'm going to say being in an environment where I know I can be open and honest with coworkers and customers suits me. So that will answer the question. And when you're ready, we'll move on to the next question. So go ahead, for all those yeses, write down in what way that occupation's meeting your needs. When you're ready, we'll move on to the next question. So the question under the third question here is, in what ways are my needs not being met? So now I want you to think about what's missing. So everywhere where there's a no, where you've circled no, I want you to go ahead and jot down what's missing. In what ways are my needs not being met? Going back to our example, I would say the equally important need for creativity is not being met. I have not had the opportunity to be creative in my work, and this leaves me feeling unfulfilled. So go ahead, under all those no's, I want you to write down how are your needs not being met, what's missing, and then we'll move on to part C, where we brainstorm solutions. So under part C, you'll see that there's 2 questions here. So the first question is, if your needs are being met, what can you do to remind yourself that you're grateful and in a good place with this particular value or need? So what I want you to do is think about how can you remind yourself to be grateful? So some folks are going to say, you know what, I'm going to write in my gratitude journal and I'm going to review it when I'm having a bad day at work to remind myself that some of these things are a good fit. Going back to our example, I would say during the next one-on-one meeting with my supervisor, I can bring up how important the integrity of the organization is to me personally. So it could be with a supervisor, it could be with a coworker, at the water cooler, or as you're getting coffee in the morning. You might just say to somebody, you know what, one thing that I really love about this organization is that we work with integrity, and that means a lot to me. And that's just a way to remind yourself and say out loud or note somewhere that this is a good fit for you. The next question, question number 2 under brainstorming solutions, is if your needs are not being met, is this something you can solve, work with a supervisor or superior to solve, or is it time to cut your losses? So going back to our example, this person, in terms of creativity, they're saying I can ask to brainstorm ways I can be more creative in my current position of my supervisor. During our next team meeting, if I have a creative idea, I can speak up and offer to take the lead on the project should we agree to move forward with it. So this person has determined they're going to try to change their work in order to suit their values and needs. So what I think is really important here is you're going to have some yeses, you're going to have some nos, you're going to have some needs being met, and they're going to be great. You're going to have some needs not being met, and you might try to change those needs. So it's a great idea to set yourself a timeline. You can come back to this exercise in 3 months or in 6 months, and you can say, okay, now that I have tried to change, tried to infuse creativity into my job a little bit more, or whatever values you are trying to be sure that you're meeting, then what's changed? Am I happier? Am I able to reach that goal? Or is it really a dead end? My supervisor is not supporting me in being creative. I'm really not able to meet this need at this current situation. So after this exercise, you can take some time, you can try some things, you can see what works and see what doesn't work, and you can revisit it later and make a different decision based on new information down the road. If you're having trouble determining your values or sifting through what they are, figuring out your needs as you relate, head over to the website. There's some articles there that might be helpful related to values. Some of you may be interested in working with me, in seeking coaching services with me, and I would be happy to speak with you to determine if we'd be a really good fit to work together. So go ahead and click the button below this video to sign up for a free career harmony call with me. I'll look forward to meeting you, and you'll be taken directly to my calendar from that link so you can sign up for a time that works for you. And I want to congratulate you for completing this exercise. This is not easy. It's not easy to be self-reflective around this particular area around work, and it can feel very scary to make big changes like this. So I want you to know that it takes a lot of courage to try to make changes and try to determine if this is a fit for you or not. And so I congratulate you and applaud you for doing that. So thanks again for taking the time to spend with me here today, and best wishes and best of luck to you.